I knew I could. You didn't have any. You guys sound about that. And it's beautiful. It's so fun. Very happy.
How are you, Lamar? Hello, Lamar. How are you?
I am good, Bo. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, getting ready to start this. It sounds like we have good audio connected with Zoom.
Good, good. Hi, Becky.
This is my.
Better if these are off and these others are on.
You like this?
I think that. Is that later on? That is, yeah. That one feels like. Oh, yeah. There was a wedding and there was a car parked right next to him. Hi, Lisa. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, whoops, I should mute.
Hi, Ann. I can't hear Ann. I don't know if she's got her microphone on.
Now, can you hear me?
I can now. Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay.
Do we have Rocco or Mike there yet?
Mike is not going to make it, and I haven't seen Rocco yet.
Okay. Is Mike coming in on Zoom? Do you know?
I don't know that he was able to.
I think
Okay.
they're in Montana. Yeah. They're out in the wild. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's been suggested to me that instead of calling our meeting to order, that we just start our town hall, since we won't be taking actions during the town hall, and we'll just start our meeting once the town hall's completed. I still want to go basically in the order that I have listed here, where we have Mayor Todd give us a history and a current status, and then Lisa giving us current information about the guardrail, and then having our public input as the town hall meeting. So in about a minute, I'll call the town hall to order. Bo, did we have anybody there to comment?
I did not get any requests for public comment.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the town hall. Do we have anybody there to comment in the town hall?
I would say so.
Okay, because they don't have to give requests ahead of time.
Sure.
But the town hall, we do need to keep our comments if possible to 3 minutes. Are you timing, Bo?
I can time that.
Okay. And then we probably have some people maybe on Zoom who want to comment in the town hall. All right, it's 6:30. We need to start our town hall. The first thing I'd like to do with our town hall is ask Mayor Todd to make his presentation regarding the history of the Stilling Basin project and the current status of the project. Is Todd there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. You have a microphone?
Because I'll need to. I don't have the slides with me. I was gonna be going off of this. Yeah, go to the next one. So first off, no sooner than I turned this in than the next day I got a package from someone that basically said the project, I have it as 2004, where it was initially envisioned. This has been going on since 1993 or 95. That's what data I've just got here a couple days ago. And there were actually some preliminary sketches done at that time. So it's been around a while. In 2012, it was placed on the RTA ballot. It passed 80% to 20%. And in 2018, the budget was adopted, including the Stilling Basin. 2019 sediment traps were included in the comp plan. 2020, the Stilling Basin project engineering was initiated. And in 2021, there's some various engineering items done in 2021. And then in 2022, that's when everything came to the head and the contract were awarded. So why don't you go ahead and next one. So we've had troubles, obviously, over the years with the sediment going into the lake. It does impact water quality. I will tell you, having been highly engaged with the legislative activity, just this legislative session, whoever was thinking about water quality back then definitely had a very clear crystal ball. Sediment is actually identified as a pollutant, and the most recent cost just to clean one side was $9 grand. So when they were looking at the engineering, and I've been going to board meetings since 2020. They were actually going to have another location, which was up around back behind the old marshal's office. But we couldn't do that because those are the septic system for the downtown businesses. And town really does not have very much property. So location is due to the topography and whatever the town actually owned. We're obviously behind schedule. Every time they do a locate, it comes up pretty much wrong. The latest version is that over where the basin is, there's a green box. They did the locates. They said it's 6 feet down. They said that'll be perfect. They dug and it was 5 feet down. So it's right in the middle of where that big concrete pipe needed to go. And yes, both Becky and myself are nagging these people very frequently because we're wanting to get the thing done. But it's fiber optic lines. So now we're still waiting on Lumen to come and move the lines so they can put those big concrete tubes in. So yes, it's behind schedule. We had water mains impacted, a hydrant was impacted. The hydrant's got to be raised another 2 feet. That's not that big a deal. And the geese that had been buried up on that area were relocated. Go ahead, next one. Hmm? They have been after them for some time. And I think the latest is you're on the list.
I do have a quick update on that. They expect to have a crew out by the end of this week to have that fiber line relocated. Once that occurs, it really will just be tying in those remaining lines, connecting in, and then doing erosion control, and then they'll come back out and patch paving.
That's good. I have to admit, I'm a little pessimistic because the Lumen guy was there with Iron Mountain and with the engineer last week. And they were saying, we're going to be here early this week.
Is that weather dependent? Yeah.
Could be.
Todd, if people don't use microphones, we can't hear on Zoom, so you may need to repeat questions or comments as they're made.
Okay, yeah, it's basically questions about where we are latest on with the Lumen activities and getting the fiber optic lines moved. So Park Rec and Trails Committee has and is holding meetings to re-envision the affected area as much as possible. They've actually got some preliminary artist renditions that have been developed. So hopefully, if you can get with a PRT member or even go on their website, and we can even start posting these things on the web if we can, the artist renditions. That'd probably be a good idea to post them. So what's the next slide? Okay. So just an FYI, this past year, there was a ballot. It passed about the same percentage. And what are we looking at for the next RTA funds? And you can see them up there. El Paso Trail and Iona Avenue Roads Improvement. Iona was specifically identified for drainage. UPass Avenue Pedestrian Bridge Safety Improvement. That's this bridge out here. We got to do something sooner rather than later. So, and the El Paso Avenue Bridge. That's the one over by the lake. And then UPass Avenue downtown improvements, hopefully to include new culverts on Foster and Hondo. B list, I'm not too worried about it because I don't think we'll get there. And we're going to have, if I got everything I wanted, we're going to have trouble funding everything because what I'm doing is I'm going after the infrastructure money as well. And that's that federal infrastructure money. And our limiting factor is going to be whatever we can afford to pay for matching. And so whatever, if hopefully we get some of that, whatever we get for that, we'll have to limit with whatever we can pay for on the matching. And we could use the RTA funds for match. So what else will? And that's all I had. Yes, we better.
So Todd, we wanted to get a current status. Do you have a expected completion date?
I would love to, but until we get the lumen lines moved, we can't commit to anything. That's a showstopper.
So did they tell you how long it takes to move those?
Lumen said they were going to be here earlier this week. Obviously, that hasn't happened, and now they're telling us they're going to be here later this week. So we'll see.
Okay. Do we as a town have any way of holding them accountable?
We have been making regular phone calls to both Iron Mountain and Lumen, trying to encourage them. I know they got a nasty gram from the project engineer. So yeah, we're tickling about as many folks as we can tickle.
All right, let's move to Lisa Bondwell, who is the vice.
Okay, hang on a minute. There were questions in the audience.
Okay, can we go ahead and finish with our presentations and then take questions, or are these specifically for you, Todd?
It's to do with the Stilling Basin area.
Well,
they-
we're going to be talking about that pretty much the entire town hall.
Okay, it was just about the road here.
Okay.
I'm hoping that our presentations may answer some questions, so I'd like to go ahead and have Lisa, who is the vice chair of the commission, go ahead and move forward with the information that she has, and then we will take questions, comments, whatever you want to do.
So hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Let me know if you can't hear me. Can you go to the photos, please, Bo, that I provided? They're right at the first. So I drive this regularly, and I did stop and take some photos. These were taken last Thursday, and I just wanted to present some measurements and talk a little bit about what has happened in this portion of the project. So if folks haven't seen or experienced this area of the project, this is just above the Stilling or the road. The Stilling Basin is below. And Todd, if you, or I'm sorry, Bo, if you go that backwards kind of, yeah, go on over to the right. So what happened is a culvert was cemented in up against the previous retaining wall that belonged to, or that was placed many years ago. And the distance from the guardrail itself to the stone wall is, and I don't, somebody pipe up, John was supposed to measure it. I had to leave town and he wasn't able to do so, but it's at least 6 feet and possibly up to 9 feet from the actual outer edge, the street, the car edge, where a car might drive by, to that rock wall. That's the stone culvert that was placed, or excuse me, cement culvert that was placed. And then it goes on down, and I did take one picture of the box that it ends in. So water flows on, yeah, you must not have it there. That's okay. Water is intended and sediment to flow down this culvert into the box way there down at the end. There is a pipe that carries it under the road and then into the Stilling Basin. In the next picture to the left is a photo of the tightest pinch point. So previously, I'm not sure how much room the road had, but it was close to 18 feet, I believe. 20 feet is what's recommended in all the research I could do for emergency vehicles to pass. And 20 feet is the minimum for a two-way road, 10 to 11 feet for a one-way road. At this point here, you can see there's a lime green cone, but down below there's there's 2 little rocks on the ground next to a driveway on the right-hand side of the photo. And that distance from that little pipe or that stake over to the guardrail is 11 feet 6 inches. The next photo, you're doing a great job, Bo, over here shows it down on the other side of the driveway. And there is another stake just down in the right lower corner at the edge of that driveway. And that area across is 14 feet 6 inches. The entire guardrail itself in distance from the top all the way down is approximately 100 and no, excuse me, I'm sorry, approximately 94 feet, pardon me. And I think that's all I had for descriptors for that particular area. It's dangerous. It only allows one vehicle to pass. Previously, vehicles had time to stop and they could kind of go around each other. They could pass. And now it's down to just one vehicle can pass at a time. I was able to talk with Chief Murphy. He did not know this was going to occur, but said the minimum that they would need would be about 11 feet for them to get an emergency vehicle up, a fire truck up the road. There's already been at least one mishap with an accident that's occurred with a car hitting the guardrail that we know of, I believe. And it's quite dangerous as people try to traverse up to hike as cars are navigating and coming head on to each other at this time. There's no signage right now, and it poses a huge safety risk, in my opinion. What else can I tell you? Andre Brecken was the Wilson and Company engineer. We had one other meeting with him, and basically the bottom line is that this had to be done in order to prevent cars from, after they placed the cemented culvert to prevent cars from sliding into it, was a safety hazard, and the least expensive remedy was the guardrail. I don't believe there was any planning oversight or any communication with the town. He just, was hired to do the project and did it. I don't know any details about that, but that was sort of what we got from meeting with him at the mayor's coffee. I think that's all I've got. And I can answer more questions about any of that later in the discussion. I think I feel like that guardrail should be removed. Many people do as well. It's an eyesore, and it makes the road too narrow.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate all your measurements and your research and for presenting that. And I know you're traveling. And so this wasn't easy, and I really appreciate it. I think we are ready to take comments, questions. So Bo, if you can maybe sort of MC this, make sure that everybody who's making a comment or a question has the microphone so that those of us on Zoom can hear it. And as you ask your questions, if you want to direct it to anyone in particular, feel free. Otherwise, it can just be whoever wants to answer it. Bo, can you help us with that, please?
Sure thing. Thank you.
If any commenters would like to just line up, we'll do 3 minutes each. At the podium. And please state your full name for the record and address. Thank you.
So we're gonna just do the conga line.
Yeah.
Would it be easier to pass the microphone and
No, they want us to go up there.
There's a little button to put. It's on.
The gray?
Blue light's on.
The blue light on. And so that's good. Okay. Joan Compton. I live right across from the Stilling Basin on Hotel Street. The question I had, and Becky has talked to me about this, but I just wanted to bring it up with everybody here. At the end, being we don't have a lot of budget money, just wondering about what kind of repair is going to happen on Ute Pass Avenue right there where the big hole was that they had to dig because all the dirt's starting to sink. And since I live right there, I hear and see all the vehicles ba-boom through there. So it's going to get progressively worse, I'm sure. And then on Hotel Street, when they had the water main thing and everything going on, plus my pipes too, they've dug up and by Brian's house 4 different places that it's all holes and everything now too across the road. So we're a little concerned about that because it's, on top of getting up to the guardrail and trying to fit through, going up and down there is kind of tricky. And people walking, I notice, are getting kind of stuck because it's not even, it's not, so just something that I'm concerned about safety wise also.
Thank you, Joan. I appreciate you bringing that to everyone's attention. Todd or Becky, could you address filling these holes and making it safe to cross through this area, if that is part of the project, or is that something the town's gonna have to do on their own?
Part of the project will be to repair the sections of roadway there.
And the water main, those holes as well, will those be repaired?
So I talked to the contractor this morning. You know, CSU did have to open up some of the areas there, and CSU had worked with the contractor to patch the squares that are out there. And then the asphalt will be repaired at across UPass Avenue as well.
This, in this area, that's where the asphalt is.
Joan, does that address all your concerns? Are they addressing all the areas that you had in mind?
But you all, I mean, they had to cut into the concrete.
Hey, somebody's talking that I can't hear with no microphone.
Sorry, the mayor is showing a map. And I don't have a good way to project it to share with you guys.
Hi, I'm Brian, Douglas Place. There was a part where they did, when they were pounding in the guardrail, they did bust the water main, and when CSU came out, they had to cut into the culvert about 3 or 4 feet and make a big U. And now they just put some coal patch over it, and it's been that way for about 5 months. So I'm just wondering, is that part of the project now or no?
So yeah, they will, CSU has been working with Iron Mountain because that was unanticipated. When CSU removed that patching or that section, they'd worked with Iron Mountain to include that.
Okay.
The material, excuse me, the material that everybody is seeing out there right now is just millings. It's ground up asphalt. It's not been treated. Certainly if there are areas that are not cleaned up as a result of this project, we can go back out with cold patch and fix it up with our public works crew, but we do have a plan to address that.
Okay, and I know Joan said it, but there's one area, can you bring the picture back up maybe real quick? That is really starting. Right in there. Now it's dropped about a foot.
Okay, we can't hear on Zoom.
you.
please.
There's an area that's right in front of the box where, at the end of the guardrail, that now that probably because the garbage trucks are falling over, but it's down probably a foot and a half, and it's happening within the last month.
Yeah, that is an area that gets a mill and refill,
Yeah.
as you can see on here, the shaded area, and I'm showing them the print. That's the contracted
Okay,
area for mill and fill.
okay.
And that's the one on Hotel Street to the square where they
No.
hook up for.
Right,
Wi-Fi.
but all I'm
Because
saying, it
that's
doesn't
the-
happen within the next month or so. It could possibly bust that pipe, I would guess, because it has dropped quite a bit with the trucks running over it.
Thank you.
Before we go on, Becky, can you tell us who Blue Mountain is and who the contractors quote are? Just describe them and their responsibility, please, for everybody.
So Iron Mountain is the contractor that bid on this project and was awarded the project. The scope of their work is included in the project. It was, you can actually find it on the town's website. It was included in one of our Board of Trustees meeting, that June 18th meeting that was awarded last year. They are fully responsible for completing the project. The project is also being supervised by Wilson and Company. And that is because they do have that engineering expertise to ensure that the project is completed.
So Iron Mountain contracted or hired Wilson and Company to do their engineering portion. I don't, I
No,
thought
the
Wilson and
town,
Company.
the town works with Wilson and Company to, and yeah.
So did Wilson and Company do the original engineering planning for this project?
Yes,
Okay. And were those plans provided to BOT or staff, or who approved the original engineering plans?
yes, those plans were part of that project.
But who approved it?
They were approved by the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
Was the guardrail part of the proposal?
Yes, but not the entirety of the guardrail. It did need to be extended as a result of the water main break. So there was a smaller portion of guardrail that was planned into this project.
So when they had to extend the guardrail, was, in the original plans, was the guardrail in this place? So far out, into the, street?
You want me to address that one?
Please.
I'm sitting here looking at the plans and, looking at plans, it doesn't really give you the full effect. When you look at the plans, it looks like it's pretty much benign. But when you actually get it and get it installed, that's when you go, oh, not so benign. But yeah, it is on the plan. It's basically says guardrail type 3 with end anchorage is type 3K. And those are standard Colorado specs.
So when they had to extend the guardrail, did they get approval for that?
I didn't have my mic on. That was the extension was actually approved via a change order, I believe,
By whom?
by the board.
Hey, do we have more questions, comments?
Okay, I'm Jay Kita. I live at 10640 Illinois Avenue. I also traverse that road quite frequently. I did want to call out one thing that I think is germane to this discussion. The roadway that existed in that location did not meet the normal widths or standards of Colorado, of the state. I don't believe it met Colorado standards, state standards, and it definitely does not fulfill the range of the right of way in that area. Right of way of Illinois Avenue is 60 feet. Miss Ann's survey clearly shows that. And lives up the hill from, or is across the way from me on Colorado. The distance that was measured across from the across to the edge of the roadway might total 20 feet in the old measure, in the old scheme. That is far lower than a 2-lane passageway. And that is one of the main passageways going up the hill, since it is the artery that feeds Hotel, Illinois, Colorado, and Mountain.
Howard Street.
Yes, Howard, yeah, sorry, I don't go through Howard very often, I forget it. The structure, the layout of this structure is limited by the presence of a driveway, a paved driveway on the northeastern side of the road. I'll point to that. Well, you can see that in slide. Yes. Yeah. The middle slide there, that's that cuts down the roadway by at least 4 or 5 feet. I don't know if that was discussed by previous planning commissions. It does substantially impact the roadway. The other point I was going to make is that it would be good if you had the background, people have made general comments about the Stilling Basin, the size of it or the location of it. We attempted to get that, to address that in the coffee meeting a couple weeks back and didn't get to it because of the number of questions. It would be relevant to say why the Stilling Basin would be useful to have as a background, why the Stilling Basin was sized the way it is. Some of those old studies of a Stilling Basin or capture basin showed substantially smaller structures. I think this is going to be, it's clear that this was the size that Wilson felt to be necessary to meet the needs of the town and handle flood levels or rainfall levels.
Pretty sure they did flow analysis.
Yeah.
On that and sized the basin according to the flow analysis.
Yeah. Just having that comment would be a good benchmark, I think, in this scheme. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate your comments. Did you get your question answered, Jay, to your satisfaction?
Oh, yeah.
He said yes.
Okay. Who's next, Bo?
Please, you're on.
Okay. Chris Frandina, 10485 Mountain Avenue. And I'm addressing just the guardrail. I can't even fathom the Stilling Basin still after all these months. But I'm in everything that Lisa had said and all the measurements, and I've driven that road for 52 years and very successfully. I raised my children here who are now in their 40s, and they also drove that road. I'd like to recommend the guardrail to be removed. It's everything that Lisa said is true, though. The cars coming down, the bottleneck, the driveway that across there that cut off so much. It's very unsafe, and the drop off now with the concrete ditch line is maybe about a half a foot. And in the winter, that's all filled with snow from the plowing. And so I'd like to see the guardrail be removed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for taking the time to make a comment. Who's next?
Cactus Caldwell, 6840 Howard. I think there's two concerns I have. I mean, guardrail stinks, but it's not great. We have like a 10-foot right of way to drive in and walk in. I ride my bike with my daughter to school there every day. And I mean, I could go other ways, but not a great option. And I actually had a friend come up who works for Colorado Springs Public Works, and he couldn't believe, I don't want it to be one way, but he couldn't believe in terms of risk that the town hasn't set that to be one way. He's just imagining an insane like lawsuit when someone has a wreck there, like 2 cars, because the width of the road says it should be one way. I mean, I don't want it to be that width, but that's what it is. And until that point, it seems like it's putting the town at a huge risk to have it be 2-way. Like, not that I want to go another way every time, but if I have to, you know, that's the way it is. I think the other thing is the people who live right above that, they put in a driveway that negates that whole ditch. Like it pushes, like you can see during the winter, it pushes the snow, the ice, the water, all out into the middle of the road. Nothing hardly goes down that ditch. And so I don't know what the point of the ditch is if we're not going to be enforcing like the people who are putting their driveways into the road to put the culverts in and not just skip out. So unless we get the driveway fixed above it, we might as well just take it out because it pushes all the gravel out into the middle of the road, everything. So until that point, we can just fill it in almost and it wouldn't change anything. So I don't know if we have any enforcement options on that, but yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. I think that's something that should be looked at for sure.
Jesse Stroop, 10770 Florence Avenue. I dislike the guardrail, I think as much as everyone. It's unattractive. It seems to be a huge safety risk, and I think we all agree on that. And so I hope that it's removed, and I wonder what that process would look like, and if we could have an idea of what would have to happen in order for that to be removed.
You're gonna take part or you want me? First part of that question is we need to, from under the RTA umbrella, since we use their money. Once we're completed, everything's wrapped up, all the bills are paid, and we've closed out that project, then we can pretty much start in with whatever. And I think we can, if it's removal, we could do that with Public Works.
Todd, would you explain what do you mean once we're out from under the RTA? Just for everybody to understand, please.
Yeah, this was done using RTA funds. And, you know, as such, the project had to have Obviously engineering that was done by professionally licensed engineers in the state of Colorado, yada, yada. And they have certain expectations. I know I've heard them in the meetings say, we want it done to we want things done to RTA standards. Don't ask me what those standards are. I think the real word was RTA expectations. However, there are watchdog groups that watch over pretty much all RTA projects. And if we start doing anything with this before all the bills are paid and that project is completely closed out, we can, pardon me, getting some static going on again. Wait for it.
Do you
Yeah,
have?
so it's something where it to me, it's just something you don't want to mess with until we've got the RTA project closed out.
Todd,
Oh, sorry, Lamar.
Todd, do you have a worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario when you think this would be finished?
I do not. Because again, we're totally dependent on Lumen. And the last time we had to wait on Lumen, we had to wait 4 months. And I don't think it's going to take us that long because we're pretty much calling them up and trying to beat them up on the phone as much as we can. But as long as you're dependent on someone else and it's something that is key, we can't finish the project until that line is moved. Once that line is moved, then we're probably, I don't know, a couple, 2 to 3 weeks to completion, because what they got to do is once they get those big pipes in, get the hydrant raised up a couple feet, then they got to go back and do all the dirt work. And then they have to do the vegetation work. And then they have to bring the machinery in to repave these small sections that are getting repaved. So yeah, I would guess 2 to 3 weeks once we get the Lumen stuff done.
Mayor Todd, thank you for helping us understand that better. Lisa, did you have a question? Lisa, you're muted.
Oops, sorry, you're right. If because we receive these funds, if we deviate from the plan to try to make this safer by removing the guardrail, making it wider, whatever we're going to do, then they could ask us to repay the money, or exactly what? Will they fine us? Will we be shut down? What will happen?
Well, one, if we go to re-engineer the plans, right now we're borrowing from future RTA funds to finish this. So every dollar that comes out of this is another dollar that we cannot spend on like UPass Avenue or the culverts or the bridges. And so, yeah, change orders have to go back to the RTA, just like the original plans did.
So
And who knows what it would actually, mean. Okay, but if we go messing around with this, I'm just really concerned that we'll get into a mess. And it'll be a lot better if we can just finish it up, close it out, and then do whatever we're wanting to do.
It'll be a mess. I guess I still don't understand. So will they sue us? I mean, what would happen? I don't know.
I can't answer that.
Okay. You're just concerned that it would be more difficult, even though we'll be
I am absolutely convinced it would be more
Spending-
difficult.
spending that money to finish this project and then undoing it, which is costing more money. It just doesn't
The
seem.
money has
cost
already
effective.
been spent.
Oh, okay.
The money has already been spent. It's
Okay.
there. It's already been spent. We need to get out from under the RTA umbrella, and then we can do with whatever we want. That was also the advice of our project engineer.
If I could weigh in for just a moment too, I think that really the issue with this project ends up being, did it meet the engineering standards? And that's what the engineers attempted to do for us. Yes, we agree that it's not the best solution. It's not what we want for a long-term solution. I think that's why we're all here today. We do want to have something that's both safe, attractive, but I think that, getting through this piece of the project, hearing from you all what you'd like to see happen, and then incorporate some of those components into the resolution, and that next phase of it whether it ends up being incorporating additional safety, pedestrian safety aspects to it. Those components, there is funding out there and we are able to pursue it. So while it wouldn't be RTA funds, we do need to get through this bit of the project. I'm taking some notes here on what I'm hearing from you all today. And I would love to incorporate that into this next piece of what is our long-term solution for this project. And I think that alludes to what Jesse was getting at, is what does this process look like? We're doing it right now. Having you all in, there's a lot of different components to this that make it really tricky. We know that there are some encroachments into the right of way. And those are encroachments that have been used for a really long time. Probably in your 52 years of driving that road, never was it 60 feet wide as it shows on the right of way. But how do we make the space that we have available both safe, attractive, and functional in the best way possible?
Thank you, Becky. Oh, who's next?
Hi, Nancy Intenza. I live at 6824 Douglas Place. So the guardrail wraps around the historic wall that is part of Brian's property. Moving or removing the guardrail, I don't know, solves the problem of making it a two-way street again. It still doesn't give enough space with the culvert there to allow for two cars and the pedestrian traffic that we see through the summer. So I don't know the solution there, but if we were to proceed to make it a one-way street, what does that look like? Is that a conversation that's being had? Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate your questions and comments. I'm unaware of conversations taking place for one-way. For many years, we've been able to safely do two-way, and I think that would probably be the first goal here, but failing that, obviously, we'll have to look at other options. Who's next, Bo?
John Bell, 10691 Illinois. So Becky, thank you. Love hearing that tonight we're starting the process to redesign and get this improved. That's great. I appreciate that. And the two things can occur simultaneously: finishing up the funding for the existing road and simultaneously working on redesign. Thank you. Another thing for planning committee, BOT to consider is, I think this comment regarding first a one-way street is very prudent. I don't want it to be one way either. It's going to affect my traffic pattern, but I think for safety of hikers, it's very important. I've skidded many times on the rocks heading downhill, whether it was a car coming up or a hiker coming up. And it may make sense just from an energy standpoint that the one way is heading up versus down, because again, less sliding. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your comments. Who's next?
You passed out. Okay. Is he at home now?
Is there anyone else here in the room who would like to make a public comment?
You said you'd be there. Where are you going? Oh, okay. That's what I want. That's just my question.
Oh, is that everybody in the room?
Do I have anyone on Zoom who would like to make a public comment?
If you would, just unmute yourself on those of you who are on Zoom. We've got Kurt, we've got Abby and Ken. Is there Jim's iPad? Do we have anybody there who wants to make a comment on Zoom? Kurt, go ahead.
I was invited by Lisa Bonwell. Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me, and I plan to attend these. I am 6875 Colorado Street, the Depew White House, and I'm worried about visitors coming. They know it's there. I've sent pictures to my family, and the solution I see is going to be signs for people going down and people going up to yield and be careful. It's going to be an ugly yellow sign, but I see that as the final solution. And I suspect the rail will stay with caution signs. Thank you for inviting me, and I'll be back.
Or who else on Zoom? Abby? Ken?
I can introduce myself if you can hear me.
Yes.
Abby Sutton, we have 6805 Park Avenue. I obviously am concerned with this guardrail because we have the house at the end of Douglas that people walk up to basically kind of avoid park there or hotel, whatever it's called right there. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the guardrail, as everyone said. I do think we need to plan about how we're going to have a better pedestrian walkway. I think that's a big planning piece, even as we're waiting for payment for everything else, is how are we going to get people safe? We know the summertime is coming and is upon us when there are a ton of people hiking up that way. So I think I'm just, echoing what everyone else has said. We often just walk down Douglas, which is dirt, because it's safer and easier for me than trying to skid down the asphalt there. So.
Thank you, Abby. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else on Zoom? Peter's going to be our guest, one of our guest speakers here soon. So I won't ask him to speak right now. Any other citizen comments? Okay, given that, is Don Walker or Phil McIntyre, are they in the house there?
Yes, they are.
I think we've got room because we've got some commissioners gone. If they want to just go up to the commissioner area and take a microphone, they certainly can. Just be sure it's turned on.
Come on up.
Bo, if you can take the camera so that we can see our speakers. Thank you so much.
Who's going?
We have 3 engineers who've joined us this evening to make some comments about it. They're also homeowners in Green Mountain Falls. Don Walker, why don't you introduce yourself first and talk about your training, credentials, etc.
Sure. My name is Don Walker. I live at 10855 Belvedere Avenue. Lamar asked me to come and visit with everyone tonight, specifically on the guardrail. And what I wanted to say is, I've really got good news for everyone here tonight, because we've talked a lot about facts and figures and mistakes and things we don't like. But the good news is this is our community, and we get to make it like we want it. And if the active majority of this community doesn't want that guardrail and doesn't like that configuration of the way that street was designed, guess what? We can change it. Okay, so I want everybody to leave here tonight with hope that however bad it is, and we've talked about a lot of the bad things, we can fix it. And we have a lot of bright, intelligent, retired professionals in this town that are worth tapping into. And we can come up with good solutions to the problems we face in this community.
Thank you very much. Bill, can you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your credentials, please?
Yes, my name is Phil McIntyre. I'm a member of the Parks, Recreation and Trails Committee, and I was invited to be a guest speaker by Lamar. I don't think you have to be a civil engineer to know that this is not a good solution. I would do it differently if I was doing engineer. One thing about engineers is they like to plan things on paper. But once you build it and then you look at it, no, it didn't look too good. And I even have a 13-year-old grandson who said that looks terrible, so I think we're all in agreement that that's not a good solution. But the mayor's right. You can't change canoes in midstream. if you know what I mean. To tear this out would cost a lot of money. And I guess my thinking is that live with it for right now. I think everybody wants a solution to change it in the future. And when money comes available to do that, we could probably do it. I would do it differently. I'd also do the Sillian Basin differently. I'd make it more look, you don't put Sillian basins in a residential area and make it look like a big hole. You make it look aesthetically pleasing to make it look, you know, park-like. And that hasn't been done. I don't know what the finished product's going to look like, but my recommendation is to, if I had a recommendation, is to put some signage up to let them know that this is a one-lane road for safety person. I drove down that road. There's a blind spot. When you're coming down, you can't see any cars coming up until you get right to the guardrail. In icy conditions, you cannot stop if somebody's coming up fairly fast. Guardrails, if you've looked at 24, have a tendency to be hit, okay? It's just a matter of time that those are going to be hit, or a car is going to try to avoid the guardrail and hit another car coming up. I mean, that's going to happen. Hopefully it won't, but I think it's going to happen because that's a pretty busy road. But I know there's no good solution right now, but I think what we need to do is plan for eliminating these mistakes in the future. Look at an engineering plan, look at somebody who knows engineering and say, well, that's not gonna work. Or can you do it this way before they start moving dirt?
Thank you, Phil. As everyone may have gathered, Phil is a civil engineer. Last but not least, Peter Carter is on Zoom, and he is our third expert that I've invited. Peter, could you introduce yourself, talk about your credentials, and any thoughts you have on these issues?
Sure. Thanks, Lamar. My name's Peter Carter, 10715 Olathe. I'd just like to echo what Phil and Don said. I am not in Green Mountain Falls, but a long-standing supporter of things being done well in Green Mountain Falls, and to the extent that well, as Phil said, we need to get out of this situation, complete this project, and then make it what, as Don said, make it what we want it to be. I've got a number of questions, how traversable is it, and how wide is the guardrail? How many blocks are in it? Why does it need to stick so far into the roadway? And should we remove it? Is that really a solution, or just another severe edge drop-off problem that's going to cause more worse problems? This is something that there are simple solutions, but we really want to take the time to look at this carefully. I have it on pretty good authority that the town can do whatever it wants on right-of-way, on town right-of-way. Well, you know what? There's town right-of-way through here. And is this the way the town wants to spend town right-of-way? If we need to buy space out of driveways, that is in fact something that could be done, but I want to get closer and take a look at it. Got lots of questions, but I'm more than happy to help. So that's pretty much what I got. Thanks, Lamar.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate your comments. When do you expect to be in Green Mountain Falls next, Peter?
Probably sometime in June.
Okay. All
Not
right.
until mid-June right now. So
Okay. All right. Well, we all want this project to be finished as soon as possible. It seems to be lingering. And so I loved John's suggestion of why can't we simultaneously work on this at the same time that we're waiting for the project to be completed? We could go ahead and start making plans for action as soon as it's completed. I first of all thank everyone who came tonight and made your comments. That's what makes town government work, is for everybody to participate. And I invite you to stay for the Planning Commission official meeting. We will run through our particulars quickly, and I plan to have a discussion of this topic by the planning commissioners, and certainly encourage you to stay to listen to our discussion if you would like on this topic, which is primarily our meeting this evening. I'd like to call the commission.
Hey, Lamar, I'm sorry to interrupt. I do have one more coming to the mic.
Oh, please, yes. Who is it, though?
Mayor Dixon.
Okay, so yeah, one of the things I'm hoping that we can get out of all this is a lot of different potential ideas for what may be able to be done. I know there's up to like a 20-degree slope going down from the road into the where the retaining wall is at. And, you know, I've heard ideas like, you know, a drivable grate. And to me, if we can, one idea could be a drivable grate that actually has an opposing slope to it. So the material in the water goes down this way, but tires would slope, might help kind of keep people from running into things. So yeah, there's whatever ideas you can come up with. If you've got them, you know, I know there's cable systems that can be done for retaining or guardrails as well. So yeah, if you got ideas, please let someone know. Thanks.
Thanks, Mayor.
I do have another one.
Okay.
This is Brian again, and I know people want to remove the guardrail, but the problem is, like Todd said, the way that slope is, there has been Colorado Springs Utilities and other trucks that have gotten stuck because when they come down, they start to slide. And when they do, they start sliding towards the wall. And they have to come in and they have to tow them out. So if that thing is removed, I mean, for me right now, the guardrail is terrible, but it's also a blessing because there's been many times when if they would have kept going, they're going to slam into the wall and just slide all the way down it, the way the thing slopes. So all I'm saying is removing the guardrail and leaving, now that it's got the drop off, it's going to make it worse because now the tire is going to fall off into that and then slide against the wall. So I'm just saying we need to be smart the way we do. We can't just remove the guardrail. It has to be fixed to where somebody's not going to slide down the hill and hit the wall.
Okay, good point. Thank you. All right. I'd like, if there's nobody else, Bo, I would like.
Yes, I think we're ready.
Okay, I'd like to call the Planning Commission meeting to order at 7:27 p.m. And the first thing I'd like to do is do a tech check. I haven't heard from, is that Rocco?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Welcome. Glad you're here. So do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the, well, our agenda is pretty shot because we chopped it up, but I think we've covered everything that was listed, including Mayor Todd's comments, Lisa's comments, and our public input and our guest speakers. Yeah. So beyond that, I think
raising his hand.
What's left of the agenda. Ann, did you have a comment?
I do have public input. Cactus and I actually talked about giving him some public input time. And then when the agenda changed, I thought that was a change, but I'm afraid that I was mistaken and he would still like to be in for the public input part of this meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep that in then. Ann, did you have a comment?
No, I was just noticing that Cactus had his hand raised.
All right, so do we, other than what I've just talked about, is there anything else that needs to be added or changed about our agenda? If not, can we have a motion to pick up the pieces that haven't already been covered and move forward with our agenda? Do I have a motion for that?
I move we accept the agenda as noted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Rocco seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Oh, aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. So we need to approve our meeting minutes from last meeting, last month in April on the 11th. Do we have any motions to approve those meeting minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as written.
I second. This is Lisa.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That passes. All right, let's go to our public input. I understand Cactus wants to make a comment.
He's on his way now.
Okay.
I need to get my address again.
Yeah, that'd be great. And make sure that mute button is off. Thank you.
Blue light's on, so I think I'm good. Cactus Caldwell, 6840 Howard. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to make the next meeting when this is on the agenda, but previously on the agenda was something about 10-580 Illinois. But they hadn't turned in permits or anything like that yet, or applications, so it got taken off. But I just kind of wanted to bring it to everybody's attention as this, when it will come into play, that even yet, I've been talking a lot to Bo about it and sending emails, but even yesterday when I got home, my neighbor had asked me to keep an eye out about the work being done over there. And I noticed that it appeared that once again, they are sneaking over to her house and plugging in and all that kind of stuff. And so it seems like everything isn't totally above board. So you just might want to keep your eyes peeled for what's happening with it whenever they make an application. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So Howard, to clarify your comments, are you saying that your electricity is being used for a project? Is that what? you're
No,
saying?
it's my neighbors. I actually asked her if I could walk over on her property to take pictures.
Okay, all right.
Because everything is really tight in there. You know, the houses are like 5 to 10 feet apart. So you can easily not go on someone else's property and have pictures of what's going on. So.
Yeah.
I have an update around that. The town marshal did make a report and he is investigating that. We did pass that on to him. And we are aware of work that's being done without a permit. The mayor and I had a meeting with the homeowner and directed him to pull proper permits and sent him bits of the code that might be helpful. He's not done that yet.
Yeah, and they were over there yesterday working, so.
Yeah, so we're aware of it. The marshal's gone back by. I drove by today and took some of my pics as well. So we're doing our best with what we have for enforcement. And I've also informed PPRBD that that's happening. So they have their head inspector kind of on it and waiting to hear back from him. So
thanks.
Thank you.
No.
Cactus, I hope you can come back when we have this on the agenda proper. Thank you.
Thank you, Cactus. All right, so I'm ready to move unless we have any other public input. Bo, is there anyone else? Anybody on Zoom? I'd like to move to number 8 in the agenda, the discussion by planning commissioners. And to guide this discussion, I guess the first place I'd like to cover two things. Number one, sort of put together a plan about how we might simultaneously start doing some planning to try to find the best solution for the guardrail issue. And the second thing I'd like to discuss is how we might work to prevent things like this happening again. Mayor Todd talked this evening about a lot of infrastructure projects that are being planned. And I think it's important to have professionals that have the town's best interest in mind, looking at projects at various stages along the way to be sure that we don't end up with a big problem that somehow we have to try to figure out how to fix. So this is about fixing our problem, number one, and prevention, number two. So I guess I'd like to hear from either our guest speakers that we have here tonight and or commissioners, some discussion regarding putting together a plan for what to do about the current problem. Open to whoever would like to address that. And I don't know if our guest speakers still have their microphones and are still here. Hopefully they are.
The town hall ending kind of cleared out the crowd, and I'm afraid both guest speakers have gone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. So commissioners, thoughts on a way forward to solve our current issue, and then we do still have Peter on Zoom, and if he wants to make comments, jump in there, Peter.
I think Lamar, I think I'm the only commissioner. Well, not commissioner. I thought she's, pardon me, sorry. I totally screwed up. I thought you meant board of trustee members, sorry.
No, I'm talking about planning commission. Commissioners that might want to give some thoughts about a way forward in solving our current problem with the guardrail. Lisa, you need to unmute, please.
Yes, I can start. I just think the discussion that occurred earlier was really helpful. And I think that we probably need to address safety first with signage and determine, are we going to have yield signs at either side to start with? Are we going to make it a one-way? I don't know what that process would look like. But that I think we need to do yesterday for safety.
Okay.
That's what I got.
I think that seems to be, as we look at Paul Yingling's quadrants of urgent and important, I think the safety falls in the urgent and important quadrant. Rocco, do you have comments?
Okay, yeah, so I agree with Lisa on the temporary signage. I think that needs to go up yesterday. I think, we have the two experts and we have Peter on Zoom. Is there anything preventing the town from having that panel of experts analyze the alternatives as people provide potential solutions? Does anything prohibit this ad hoc group of 3 people with extensive background helping to analyze the alternatives? And the mayor's giving me a thumbs up, so I think he supports that. And then it would just be coordination through town staff. I think
Rocco, one thing that the mayor and I had discussed is potentially asking our community of engineers to maybe be a subcommittee with planning commission and work together to make recommendations, to form plans and make recommendations to staff and BOT, which could be done for this current problem and could potentially be done for future projects as well. I'd just like to hear some thoughts about that from other commissioners.
I think that, this is Ann. I think that's also a good idea. We have a lot of talent in this town that, and they're available. So many of them are retired. So they could really dig into this. And I think that would be a wonderful community effort also.
Okay, Peter,
For them to do that.
thank you, Ann. Peter, did you have a comment?
Well, I think what we're discussing is the way the process gets changed that would help everybody. You know, I know that Phil and Don and I are available to offer up our opinions, but do you know what? One of the things that really is an advantage in all of this is we've got enough community attention for this one particular issue that maybe the community is also going to be more aware that they have a role in keeping abreast of the changes that are coming their way. You know, earlier tonight, Todd sent out a list of the projects that are coming down, and these plans. Now, I haven't seen the plans for the Stilling Basin and the guardrail in the ditch, but they have been available, and I think the community should have an opportunity to look at these upcoming plans in the very early stages, just as Don, Phil, and I will look at the plans as well, but we'll be looking at different stuff. And you know, when I was working with the Kansas Department of Transportation for 25 years, one of the things that we learned was that the public becomes more amenable to the plans we put out when the plans are presented to them in a public format and they look at them. So that involves not just, you know, retired engineers, but that is the opportunity for the community as a whole to take a look and say, wait a minute, that's not what we thought was coming. So that's an additional layer of potential here that I think we ought to take a good look at. That was
Thank you, Peter. I think that's a really good point. Thoughts about having three. One is actually still Bill is still working full time as a civil engineer, so everybody's not retired. But these three men have been generous in their willingness to volunteer and help with projects like this and help provide guidance, provide ideas. Does anyone, any commissioners besides Ann, have comments on potentially the structure being that we make them a subcommittee of the Planning Commission? And I guess that's my motion, is that we do that. Do we want to have some discussion? Does anybody
You have to do that.
disagree with that?
I'll make a motion to create a subcommittee of knowledgeable engineers.
Okay, these three men have volunteered to be a part of that.
Volunteers.
Well, I would certainly second that. Do we have?
You think that's a good idea?
Lisa or Rocco, do we have discussion on this?
Yeah, maybe we call it the design subcommittee. We've had an offer from Eric Cactus Caldwell as well. He's got an engineering background and he's got the interest.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I'm in favor of having a design subcommittee.
Thank you, Cactus. That's wonderful. So now we have 4 volunteers. Lisa, comments?
I just think it's fantastic. And I was just counting how many people were at the meeting. I'm so excited that we have so much participation. I'm thrilled.
Absolutely. So we have a motion to include now, I guess the amendment to the motion would be to include Cactus as well in this second. Those are 4 individuals. And we have a second. Let's go ahead and have a vote. All in favor, aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The motion passes. So there is now a design subcommittee, is what it will be called, with these 4 volunteers. I think that our next move is probably to either have a work session or at some point in time, have a meeting with the Planning Commission and the subcommittee to work through what can be done on this current problem. Peter and Cactus, you're the 2 that are in the room right now. What would be first steps on that? Would there need to be research? Would y'all need some time to look at it? Would the group of you need to and talk about next steps, or what are your thoughts? Either Cactus or Peter.
This is Cactus. I think getting the plans sent to us and then go from there, like they can see what everything is, what the structure looks like of that, and what you can do.
Okay.
Oops.
Right.
Sorry, that wasn't on. Now it's on.
Cactus, I have the other 3 gentlemen's email and phone numbers. I do not have yours. If you could provide it to Bo and he can provide it to me.
Okay, he has it actually.
Okay, then I'll get the 4 of you together. What do we need to do to get the plans sent to these, our subcommittee, our design subcommittee?
Can't they just do it?
Who has the plans?
Lamar, I have a question. Earlier, Becky, I think, mentioned that there was a publication of some of these documents in a January 18 BOT meeting. One of the first things I was going to do was go to the agenda packet of that meeting to see if maybe the plans are part of that. But I agree that, yeah, I need to see stuff. I need to see as-built if they're available. And, I would dearly love to walk the site with the other 3 members of this committee. However, I am also very curious as to what sort of constraints on our communications making us some sort of an official committee is. Are there Open Meetings Act regulations? Are there other things that we're going to get tripped up by? Because what we need to do is communicate. We need to communicate with other people, and we don't need to be tied up by you can't talk to each other unless you've got a quorum, or unless you're having a public meeting and you've got Zoom links and all that stuff. We need to.
I agree, Peter. The whole point of a subcommittee is that you work separate and then bring to us the concepts that you come together with. Mayor Todd, can you answer that question, or Becky, can you? Is a subcommittee going to have to be subject to the sunshine laws and open meetings?
So the Planning Commission is a quasi judicial board. Under our municipal code, there is a section on there that refers to subcommittees. The way that I view this subcommittee is that it would be acting in an advisory capacity to the Planning Commission. Any recommendations being made on that would be, have to that would be recommendations wouldn't be, they'd be something that would be supporting meeting materials that would be acted upon by the planning commission or the board of trustees in an official meeting. I would, however, urge you to, anytime you're going to have any more than 2 members of the planning commission meet, that we post those meetings as public meetings and make them accessible to the public.
Yeah.
Yes, and we
So to
always
me-
do. But
So
if
to me,
not,
the subcommittee, pardon me, so to me, the subcommittee would not be covered by open meeting laws.
All of the committees are covered by open meeting laws, like even but
Even the
I'll,
subcommittee acting in an advisory capacity to
I
a,
think that if your subcommittee is meeting to discuss things and then they bring recommendations to the planning commission that are discussed in public meeting. But let me, I want to run that by legal just real quick, just so that we don't get into any pickle.
That would be great. Thank you.
please do. And thank you for asking that question, Peter, because if they can't meet and work as engineers together, then we need to do this in a different way. They can't be a subcommittee. So
Exactly my point. Yeah, thank
to
you.
let them get their work done, we need to do it that way. So for now, they're a subcommittee, but if we learn legal doesn't like that, we'll disband and do it a different way. I didn't hear how they're going to get the plans. How is that going to happen?
I'll send out the plans.
Thank you, Becky. Can you please copy me on that as well?
I was going to ask the same thing. And I looked in 18th BOT agenda, I couldn't find it, so of 2022. There was a town meeting.
Becky, please copy me and Lisa when you send those.
Copy.
All right. What would be, after you get the plans, Peter, is there anything else we need to discuss or Cactus as far as next steps?
Well, we need, ultimately, we will need to know the tools that are available to us. From what Todd was saying earlier, it sounds like we will have $0 to solve these problems, and we will need to know what we've got available. We need to know where the boundary lines are, and just.
That'll be part of, I think, planning commission's job is to help you know what your tools are and what you're able to do.
Sure.
Another thing I think that is important here is that it's already planned that PRT is gonna be working on the park rehab. It may make sense to include PRT with planning commission as we try to work through this guardrail and park rehab issue, because they're already doing a portion of it. So that makes sense that maybe we would involve them as well and have some joint meetings to be sure we coordinate all of this. If that makes
And
sense.
Lamar?
Yes.
Both Don Walker and Phil McIntyre are on the PRT as well.
That helps. That helps a lot. But I'd probably want the chair and anyone else who wants to be involved in our discussions, just so, again, things are well coordinated. Is there anything else I'm missing, Peter, Cactus, that we need to provide you guys so that you can maybe get started on this?
I think that from my perspective, we just need to put our heads together and see how it's all going to blend. I don't know. I know Don and the other two I don't know very well. So we really need to get together and just see what kind of a team we can make and who can contribute what. So
I agree. If legal blesses it, I'm happy to host Zoom meetings or whatever for you four guys. If none of you have a Zoom that you can host, and I can have my my vice chair, Lisa, so there could be two of us. And if she can't, then, you know, somebody else from our committee, but I think this is a great start tonight. I appreciate all the citizens who came and offered thoughts and ideas. And I really appreciate the four gentlemen with the engineering expertise who are willing to volunteer their time on behalf of this town. Because nobody cares more about the town than those of us who own property and live here. Is there any other business that I don't know about or correspondence, Bo?
No, I'm afraid the item that I do have under number 9 in business, I got a little ahead of myself, and that was part of the last Board of Trustees meeting, but it didn't turn into an action item, and it's part of a larger topic that they're going to revisit in the future. So I mistakenly placed that on our agenda, and I'm sorry for any hassle that caused.
Is this the topic that is the BOT memorandum at the end of our packet that's suggesting that we analyze right-of-ways for new staging areas? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay, but we need more action from the BOT before we have to go ahead to start working on this. Is that?
Yeah, it's not ready for us tonight,
Okay, all right.
and I have no correspondence.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Bo.
Mhm.
Do any commissioners have any other business that we need to discuss?
So Lamar, we do have the continuing items, which is the land use code getting into the muni revs or whatever, and also the new updated zoning map.
Thank you, Rocco. Can we have an update on those, please, Becky?
I do have a contact at the, that actually Austin suggested to be able to help us update the zoning map. I have sent a little bit of info his way, but don't have a cost estimate yet from him or a projected time to have that accomplished. And then the incorporating the land use code into our zoning should be in process. Or the land use code into our muni code. Apologies, long day.
Yeah, it is. The third thing that we need to know is where are we on our contract planner?
We're gonna have to select somebody else.
Somebody else.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna have to look into working to find another contract planner, as it doesn't seem as though the ones we have interviewed previously are interested or have the availability to take this on. In the meantime, the small applications that we've had come in, we've been able to handle as staff, and thankfully it's been a lull, but we do need to get on that. If anybody has folks that they feel are a good fit, please send them my way.
Do we have to go through a 3-bid process?
No.
Okay. All right, so both of the people that we interviewed and the process we went through, they no longer have availability or interest. Do you know why?
They have not responded.
Okay, well, I guess I can follow up. Because I guess I'd like to hear a no, but that's odd. Okay. All right. Can you give us dates for when we'll have our updated zoning map and get land use code incorporated into the muni code? Do you have dates on that, Becky?
I'll let you know when I hear back.
Okay, you're waiting on who for incorporating into the land use code, the muni codes?
That's Civic Plus, that they're who do our website. I'll let you know just as soon as I hear back from them and any other updates. I do have some other leads on some additional contract planners or folks that could potentially fill that role. But have not gotten far enough with them. I think that really our and the pending thing that we need to get working on for that to work is the update of our fee and fine schedule, which as soon as we get out of audit will be on the top of our list.
Okay, and who's gonna do that?
Bo and I.
And you'll present it to us?
It's the fee and fine schedule is approved by the Board of Trustees.
All right, anything else that we're missing? We probably both need to include every single meeting, old business of those 3 items that I just mentioned, incorporating land use codes into the muni code, updating the zoning map, and contract planner. Those 3 things are old business that we need to revisit until they're resolved.
I'd be happy to add those as well as the category for old business. I can modify the agenda doc for that.
Thank you, Bo.
Sure thing.
Maybe a 4th thing is just the update on the fee schedule.
No problem. We did start that and then we kind of put it on back burner as the audit and some other stuff picked up. So it is underway and it shouldn't be a huge process to get that in front of you guys.
Okay, we'll just add that to old business just so we don't let it fall through the cracks, please.
Sure thing.
All right, anything else, commissioners?
Nope.
All right, we're a minute after 8 and we are adjourned.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you all for being here.